Welcome to another edition of the Commissioner's Report. This episode's a little bit different. I'm here with Commissioner Braswell, and we're in the Traffic Operations and Engineering building with Traffic Manager Amy Gregory. And the reason we're here is we were talking with Commissioner Braswell one day, and he was talking about all the electronics and the accoutrements that you see at intersections, and wondering about what they did.
Yeah, I mean, you pull up to the intersection and the poles have all kind of stuff on them. And people tell me all the time, oh, that's a camera, or that's this, or whatever. And I know they're wrong. And I know they have no idea what they're talking about. And I wanted people to know what they're talking about, but more important, I wanted people to understand that there are ways that they can help themselves at the intersection. Sometimes they don't pull up and trip the red lights or whatever, and you just sit there. You know, I see it all the time on Gapway Road, people 2-3 cars short of what trips the light, and we'll sit there all day waiting for the light to change. So maybe this will help out.
Terrific. Well, welcome to the program, Amy. And if you would, just give us a broad overview of what Traffic Operations does.
Well, the Traffic Operations Group is responsible for basically all the traffic signals in Polk County, except the ones in Winter Haven and Lakeland. Mm-hmm. We also take care of school zones and flashing beacons, and all the signs on county roads.
Okay.
We also address traffic complaints. We do investigations for parking concerns. So any traffic-related issue is the responsibility of the Traffic Engineering and Operations Group.
So when you come up to an intersection in Polk County, there's the lights, but there's other mechanisms and things involved in an intersection, right?
There's a lot of technology that's involved. There's a control cabinet on the corner. The people who see cameras, they're not wrong. We do actually have cameras in a lot of instances. Right. We have loops in the ground. So there's a lot of technology that they see, and we can go to the traffic signal shop to check out some of that if you'd like.
Ooh, great. Gadgets. You want to go?
Let's go.
Okay. Here we are in the workshop, and we are surrounded by equipment. Are you a gadget guy?
I love gadgets. I love things that automate my life. So this looks like a good one.
Yeah. Let me introduce you to Matt Gibson. He is the Chief Signal Technician.
Yes, ma'am.
This is our gadget guy.
All right. What you got?
Well, I'm going to go over some basic things that you'll see at a typical intersection and go through some of the equipment inside. This is our controller cabinet. There's one at every intersection, and it's what houses all the control equipment. They come in different sizes and shapes, but for the most part, they're about the same dimensions.
They're big.
Yes, sir. This is the controller. I like to think of it as a computer. It's what houses all the timings, the applications, and the sequencing for all the different phases throughout the intersection. This is an MMU, which stands for Malfunction Monitoring Unit. The controller has and controls what the intersection does. What this is designed to do, if for some reason the controller outputs something that it shouldn't, that makes it unsafe, or if a vehicle were to hit a pedestrian pole or a wire go bad in one of the signals, this will throw the intersection in a flash, which makes a safer condition than two opposing greens.
Okay.
And this is the 24-volt power supply that controls the equipment. And you've got your load switches, your outputs from the controller go through here, and then they output the 120 into the field.
So is that what goes to the actual lights down there?
Yes, sir.
Turn them off and on?
Yes, sir. The controller outputs 24 volts, and these are actually called load switches because they switch it from 24 volts back to 120 out to the field.
Okay.
Can you go back to that fail-safe gizmo?
Yes, sir.
So there's no way two green lights, opposite directions could occur because of that thing?
Correct.
Okay.
If it does for a split second,
yeah,
this will throw it in the flash.
Does it ever go to like everybody goes to red and just stops everybody?
All red?
Yeah.
Flashing or solid?
Solid.
No.
Is that when it goes to flashing then?
It'll go all red in between changing of sequence.
Right.
But if something were to go wrong, it'll never go all red. It'll flash yellow on the main street and red on the side street.
So when it's going from different lanes, is there like 2 seconds or something where it's all red, so everybody's got a red, or does it go red, green to the other side?
No, there's an all red, and as soon as we get done talking about some of the gadgets, I can explain that on the test board.
Okay.
Okay. But while we're at this cabinet, I mean, have you ever seen an accident where somebody's
Sure.
somebody's hit one of these
just
things?
knocks it over or whatever. What happens then?
Yes, sir. Well, we have emergency response personnel. We have spare cabinets. We have to go out, whether it's in the middle of the day, middle of the night, take all the equipment, replace it, rewire it.
Is this thing hooked up like it would tell you that it's been damaged? Would it send a signal back some way?
If we have 100 intersections or so that are online back to our TMC, if one of those were to get hit, it would let us know. Otherwise, if it's out in a remote part of the county,
Right.
somebody would have to call it in, typically the sheriff's office, because they're going to respond to the accident.
Cool.
But if someone destroys it, how much does something like this cost to replace?
Depending on the size and what all equipment's in it, we're looking at about $10,000 just for the equipment, not the labor.
Wow.
It's crazy.
You want to hear about the intersection?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tell us about it.
Okay.
So this is a representation of an intersection.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
We use these as test boards if we feel like we have bad equipment in the field, or if we're going to test a new timing or a new signal operation. We'll set it up in here first before we actually put it in the field and implement it. So going back to the question that you had about all red, you've got your main phases, which are 2 and 6, and you've also got your main left turns that are 1 and 5. Standard operation, your left turns come up first. They have their minimum green time,
Right.
and then they have their yellow clearance, and then they're all red. So the left turns also have an all red, anywhere between 2 seconds to 3, depending on the intersection and the
Right.
speed. Then your main streets go, same thing, minimum green, yellow, red, and then all red clearance. That's to allow people that are driving too fast, not being able to stop, or people that just like to run red lights. It allows the vehicles to clear safely before it brings up the side streets.
So who decides how long the left turn is or how short the left turn is? And are you going to let them go straight first or make the left turn first?
It all depends on the configuration of the intersection. We maintain all DOTs plus our county intersections. FDOT dictates their times and their sequence operation. If it's a county intersection, the engineer that designs it before the build, they'll come up with the times. And then if we feel like we need to change them, our traffic engineer will make the decision to change the times.
And then somebody goes out to the box and reprograms however you want to change it to?
Yes, sir. We can go out in the field to do it, or if it's connected back to our TMC, we can do it remotely from here.
So as a driver, how can I know where to go and how to make this intersection work best for me?
Okay, that's very important. That's a good question. You've got a 2-foot stop bar on every approach to the intersection as you're coming up to it. That's where you can visibly see your traffic signals on the opposite side, to the best of your ability. Everything's measured out when it's designed, and everything's engineered to its proper specification. We've got several different types of detection. The first one, this is kind of a mock-up loop. It's called a traffic sensor loop. I'm sure you've seen them in the roadway. There's saw cuts in the road, and it's wrapped with wire, and then the lead ends come back to the cabinet. They're typically at the stop bar, and they're about 20 to 40 feet long.
It's the black lines drawn that I see
Yes,
that
sir.
I need to be on.
Yes, sir. And those are right at the stop bar. It's very important for the stop bar because if you stop too far back, or if you pull past it, you're not going to get a detection.
It doesn't know
it's
you're
not
there.
going to go to the controller. That's when drivers get frustrated. They think they got skipped.
Right.
They run the red lights, and most of the time they call in and complain.
Okay.
The signal's not working right.
And the whole time it's them
Their fault.
that's causing it.
Yes, ma'am.
Which is always the case, right?
Right. So, our next method of detection is going to be video. Sure you've seen these on the mast arms. They're about 20 to 23 feet, and they shoot down at each approach.
And I think everybody thinks those are video cameras that you guys are looking at traffic, they're like motion sensor cameras, right?
Yes, sir. What a video camera does is it takes a live image of the approach, and then we, either by laptop or a monitor, we go in and actually draw a mock loop as what you would see in the roadway, except it's not actually in the roadway.
Okay.
So once a vehicle breaks the plane into that loop, the virtual loop, it sends a call to the controller.
Okay.
But the same thing applies too far back, too far forward.
It doesn't see it. Have I seen these like where they're doing road construction and there's a turn signal and they're adding another turn lane or something like that? They do these temporary sometimes, don't you?
Yes, sir.
So you know there's cars there without having to do anything in the asphalt. Yeah,
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
But most of the time, that can be done through radar, which will get too nice.
Oh, okay.
Ooh,
Fancy schmancy.
yeah.
So this is a radar antenna. Same principle. It's above the intersection, and it's angled at the approach. We've got a special tool that we put on it when we're up in the air for maximum detection. The way radar works is it shoots out a 90-degree cone. A 90-degree cone, 250 feet. So what you're going to do is you're going to have your cone. One of the sides of your cone is going to be your stop bar, and the other one's going to shoot back this way. We don't have a live image of this. We'll get to that in the TMC. But what we do is with a laptop, we go in and we draw, once again, virtual zones. But you're not going to actually see the live image.
Okay.
But as you're watching the image, it'll track the vehicles as it comes up. And then once it hits that virtual zone, it'll place a call in just like any other detection.
So that thing does what the in-ground does, what the camera does. So that's the newest technology there?
It's not the newest, but it's very innovative.
Yeah.
It's not affected by weather, fog, rain, snow.
Wow. That's
Well,
pretty-
we don't get
pretty-
much snow.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, well, Tuesday's coming, right?
Right. So,
Now, do these things sometimes work with each other, or do you make a determination from the intersection which would work better? How do you choose?
it's kind of all up to the engineer. There
Okay.
are circumstances where we use a combination of loops and video.
Okay.
I have yet to see an intersection that uses loops and radar or radar and cameras.
Okay.
So radar is pretty much standalone by itself.
All right.
It's very reliable. I mean, every method of detection has its issues, but radar's pretty good.
But the radar, so you'd have one going this way and one going you'd have four of them for this intersection? Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Now, do you ever wish you could make the intersection work the way you want it to?
I do all the time.
There are people who can do that.
Who?
First responders.
Okay.
This is called a preemption receiver.
All right.
It's basically an infrared receiver. It sits on top of the mast arm and it points down the approach. Every approach has one, just like a detection camera. Fire trucks and EMS, first responders and ambulances, on their light bars, they have a special strobe in the middle that emits a certain frequency strobe.
Wow.
So as they're coming down the approach, most likely about 80 to 100 feet back, the sensor is going to pick them up. And if this phase is green, it's going to allow that phase to stay green so that they can make it all the way through. If it's red, it's going to pick them up back here, and it's going to make sure that by the time they get to the intersection, it's green so that they can proceed safely without having to stop and yield for any side street traffic.
Now, is that at every intersection?
No, sir. Not every intersection.
But anywhere you saw those things,
Yes,
you
sir.
would know that that's available for them.
Yes, sir.
And so it's fire trucks, the police, do they do it?
Some of them do, but most of them don't.
Okay.
Depends on the agency.
And so, I mean, that's cool. So everybody can keep flowing and they can keep flowing, or everybody stops and they can get going.
Correct.
Neat.
Have you ever known somebody who tried to beat that system?
Hey, easy.
There have been a few cases. These are not available to the general public.
Oh, okay.
You have to be in the traffic industry as a municipality or a contractor to have one of these.
Have you heard of Amazon?
Yes, sir, I have. And,
I think you can get anything on Amazon.
yes, you can. A few years ago, there was a report that every morning and every afternoon in the city of Tampa, about the same time, traffic would get disrupted. So every time the controller tracks preemption. So every time it's preempted by fire truck or railroad, it logs it in the controller. Well, the city of Tampa has a lot of CCTV cameras, so they were able to track it by time. They actually track the guy down, and it's a felony to use one of those.
Oh,
Okay, I won't do that again. So you said something there, railroad. Do you guys do anything with railroad signals?
We do not maintain the signals. However, if we have an intersection that's in proximity to railroad, we have a fail-safe device. What happens is as the train approaches the signal,
Yeah.
we send a signal to them. We send 120 in, and they send it back 120 out. Well, once they get to the shunt on the train, it breaks that relay and opens it, and then it allows our signal to clear the vehicles that could be blocking the track or crossing the track. It gives them a certain amount of time to get through before the gates go down.
Huh, really?
Yes.
And so I know an intersection on Highway 17 south of Bartow where the track crosses, and when the train comes that goes straight ahead to the track light, it just stays red. It's the same gizmo you're talking about that does that, because it knows there's a train crossing the track while you're at the red light, and it never gives you a green light to cross.
Correct. Until
Okay.
the train exits.
All right.
so
Cool.
I mean, I don't see anything in here that looks like you're the ones who gets the signal from the radar or the camera. Is there another place that does that?
Yes, ma'am. RTMC.
So it looks like we're on the flight deck of the Starship Enterprise here. What's going on?
Well, this is Polk County's TMC.
Natural disasters are a fact of life in the U.S. And between activities and school, chances are you won't be with your kids when they happen. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids can help your children feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
America's veterans are on the tour of their lives. At DAV, we're on a mission to help veterans of all generations get the benefits they've earned. Help us support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Selfless service is the principle that guides Army National Guard soldiers to be ready whenever disaster strikes. They have a stake in the well-being of the neighborhoods where they live and work. They train part-time to be ready to serve at all times. Selfless service. It's what inspires the men and women of the Army National Guard to be part of something greater than themselves. Visit NationalGuard.com to learn more.
I got it!
Hi.
Can you help me?
I got it.
Thank you.
No problem.
Just like the rules to surviving Zombieland, there are steps you can take to be prepared for an emergency.
It's the right thing to do.
Talk with your family to make a plan. Look for safe areas to meet up if separated. And stock up on supplies. It's never too early to get prepared, so start now.
Right now?
Right now.
You can't predict emergencies, but you can be ready.
You're welcome, America.
Visit ready.gov today to learn more.
So it looks like we're on the flight deck of the Starship Enterprise here. What's going on?
Well, this is Polk County's TMC. We have 124 signals connected to our system and 43 CCTV cameras connected to our system, which puts us size-wise in between the two other TMCs in the county. We are larger than the city of Winter Haven's TMC and slightly smaller than the city of Lakeland's TMC.
Okay, if I may, before we go on, what is TMC?
TMC is our traffic management center.
Okay. And so you can sit here and you can see certain intersections, and I think you told me you can move the cameras around and see in the intersection, and then you can see the lights. What else is up there?
That's right. We have the signals, anything that we can do from the field with the controller that we saw earlier in Matt's presentation, we can access from here. So we can change slight parameters. If the state gives us some new timings that they want to implement, we don't have to drive physically to each location to do it. We can do a lot of that from here.
And you can sit here and turn the light red if you wanted to?
We can update the times, yeah.
So, but I mean, can you actually control the signals if you needed to? Like, I don't know, there's a wreck down the road and you want to stop the traffic or something like that. Do you have that capability?
Yes, we can put in emergency timing prioritization to try and flush out a large queue of traffic that's building up. which we do if there's an incident after it clears, after the first responders are gone.
Right.
There's usually a large backup. We can help flush that out.
I remember that happening on 98. There was a bad wreck somewhere on there, and the traffic was backed up a couple of miles, and you guys somehow, I guess what you're talking about, switched it, and everybody got to move.
For
finally.
an hour or two, yeah, we had to put
Yeah.
in a special timing sequence to try and help move that out.
So these cameras, the images that we're looking at now, those aren't the same as the cameras that we just saw in the workshop, are they?
No, the ones in the workshop were fixed position detection cameras. These are CCTV cameras where we can pan, tilt, and zoom. So even if we have a location that's not got a camera on it, there's a chance we might be able to see it from a different camera. So we have a good area of range that we can use these cameras for.
Okay.
Now, can you tell from your board here, I mean, if the camera was out, could you tell if there's a car at the intersection, or it's in the turn lane, or a pedestrian's crossing the road, or anything
If we
like
didn't
that?
have a camera at a location, yes, the signal information will show that. There's a detection panel, and it'll show which ones are mapped to which directions. You kind of have to look at it a little differently and match up all the numbers, but you can do that as well.
Now, this screen up here with all the dots on it, is that the actual color of the red light at that intersection?
That is live for every intersection that we have communication to that we're viewing here.
Wow.
So each side that's green, yellow, red, you can see it all in live time.
Well, what's the black one then, or gray?
The gray one is if the controller sees that there's a vehicle there, which goes back into saying where you want to make sure you're at the stop bar.
Okay.
So you need to make sure that the controller sees you.
Right. And then is that a pedestrian on this side?
Pedestrians also factor into the timing of a controller.
So it sees the X-ray, or not X-ray, radar sees the pedestrian?
No, the radar doesn't, but the physical push buttons on the side of the road,
okay.
those will come up as well on the controller.
Clever.
And then they need time as well.
Yeah, that's
now,
cool.
the screen is very busy. How many intersections are we talking about? How many are on that list?
We have 124 that we can communicate with, which is almost half of the total number that we maintain for the county.
Wow. It's a lot. Well, I guess I would have thought there were more intersections with as many miles of road as we have, but I guess they don't cross that much. Maybe that's a good thing.
Now, this is what the CCTV cameras are, and we heard what the detection cameras see. Is there any way you could show us what the radar sees?
Yes, we can. We have a radar detection screen brought up down here, and what that shows is the cameras themselves don't actually see a car. It just sees a box. And it's every time the radar hits something, an object, and returns, it puts a little dot on the screen. And those zones that we draw out, they mimic what a ground loop would look like. And it'll show in a yellow border that it does see the vehicle that's there.
So the blue in that one right there, those are vehicles?
The blue is the vehicle. When it stops, they kind of merge all together.
Okay.
When they start to flow, you'll get a better separation of each vehicle itself.
And then the red, what's the difference between the red and the black? Anything?
The black is not considered the zone.
Oh,
so
okay.
if you're too far back from the stop bar,
okay.
you'll be in the black area.
Yeah.
And it won't be seen.
So if the guy that doesn't trip it doesn't pull up far enough, you'll see him. Well,
yes.
This thing will still see him though,
Yes.
right?
But it won't be putting in a call to the controller.
Okay.
Because he's not at the stop bar.
Wow. And then does all this technology come together and kind of analyze the wait times of the traffic and say, this light over here, it's always backed up with the left turn. Let's run this left turn signal longer?
We can get reports generated from that. The other boxes in front of the bar, that's what those are doing. They're doing counts. So we can go
Vehicle
back and
counts.
yes, we can go back and look at how many vehicles are using which directions and then re-engineer the timing if we need to based on that.
Now, can that thing tell the difference between a car and a semi?
It can't really separate the two. It takes an
Right.
average of what most
Okay.
vehicles are.
So out of all these cameras that you have, which ones are recording what they're seeing?
None of the cameras we have are recording. Neither the CCTV cameras or the video detection cameras that Matt showed earlier.
So they don't have a little memory card in there and it
No.
keeps 10 hours or 12 hours on a loop or something like that?
No, there's nowhere that we would have that would be able to store that much information.
Okay, well, that's cool.
Well, this has been fascinating. Thank you so much. You're obviously a busy guy. Maybe Amy's still here, and before she gets back to work, we could ask her a couple more questions.
Let's track her down.
Okay. That was really interesting.
That was cool.
I mean, everything from the gadgets to the room behind us and how everything is managed. Now, we talked primarily about intersections. Are there other lights, signals, things like that this group is responsible for?
Yes, we take care of all of the traffic signals, but we also take care of 150 school zones and the flashing lights associated with them, or flashing pedestrian crossings that you push a button and they flash. Also, a flashing beacon on a warning sign. So anything basically that's an electrical component that you see on the roadways, this group takes care of.
So I got a question about that. How does the school zone sign know it's a day off? Are they programmed?
They are.
Okay.
We can program the whole
Even
school
holidays,
calendar.
everything.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a little
all right.
computer in those, similar to what you saw
Okay.
for the
all right.
signals.
It's pretty clever.
It is.
It's cool.
Busy folks.
Yeah, very busy.
Well, thank you very much
welcome.
for sharing your time and your facility with us. We really
for coming.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks for joining us for another edition of the Commissioner's Report.
Bye, Janet. It's nice seeing you again. You look good, girl. Just let me know what I can do to help.
Well, to help me, she'd have to help every day. Every hour, every ouch, every time my wife calls for help. I mean, maybe she could help me make her lunch. But the crust, all the crust has to be cut off the corners. She could help me run to the doctor for the 5th time this week. Help me with the specialist and the second opinions and the painful paperwork about paperwork. Help me deal with how hard it is seeing my wife's name on so much paperwork. But this is on me. I'm the only one who can do this, like this, for her. Besides,
take care.
We will. Janet doesn't like her cooking anyway.
Find support for your strength. Visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community.
Listen, you're my friend.
I noticed you haven't really been yourself recently.
Yeah, I feel like something's up.
How are you?
Are you okay?
Is there anything you want to talk about?
I just want to know how you're feeling.
And listen, even if you don't know what to say, I'm here to talk.
No matter what you're going through,
I just want you to know I'm here.
I've got your back. When you want to talk, I'm here.